Hello, hello, hello. I am so happy you're here with us today because today we're going to be talking about content. Shocker, I know, but specifically the real stuff, the brand deals, agencies, balancing a 9 to 5 while being a content creator. Like, I want to dive into the real BTS of making a career out of this. But of course, I could not be speaking on this myself. So I'm so excited to have our special guest, Jenny, here. Hi. Welcome.
So happy to be here. I'm having so much fun already.
Well, I am so excited because I feel like in the content creator space, there's a lot of like glitz, glam, really hot, sexy stuff, which, hey, is totally a part of it. But there's also like the raw, real, everyday stuff. And I'm really, really excited to get into that. But why don't you introduce yourself and give me a little about your content creator journey?
Yeah. My name is Jenny Park. I started TikTok probably 2.5 years ago, and I've always aspired to be a content creator. I love sharing my life online all the way since Zanga days when I was little. I feel like I've just been chronically online. And I've tried different things. I've done forms of podcasting, YouTube, whatever, and nothing really stuck for me. And something about TikTok 2.5 years ago, I knew that I really wanted to create value on the internet, share things that I'm learning, whether it's personal finance or career tips or life tips and stuff. And so something about the short form, raw, really attracted me. So I started about 2.5 years ago. I also, to your point, I have a corporate job. So that's my 9 to 5, my full time. But yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's start off with that because right now there's a huge discussion on who is an influencer, who is a content creator, what is the difference. So to you, what is the difference between a content creator and an influencer?
Okay, I think about this a lot. My thought, I feel like one, and from an industry perspective, some people think of influencer as a little bit of a dirty word. And so I feel like to elevate that term, people have shifted to the word creator. I have a little bit of a problem with that because I sometimes feel like people see the word influencer as not a real job. And then suddenly all these men came into the industry and realized there's so much money in it and changed it to creator and made it feel more professional. But I feel like if you think about who's an influencer versus a creator, I feel like influencers are people you're just attracted to their lifestyle, what they're buying, what they're doing. And then creator is more of the content they're making, the value they're providing. So for me, I don't think I would say I'm an influencer, mostly because I don't think people care that much about my life or what I'm wearing, what I'm doing. I haven't shared too much about it yet, but usually people are following me because they want my tips and thoughts and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the way that I see it is that all influencers are content creators, but not all content creators are influencers.
I agree with that.
Okay, perfect. So you, as we said before, you are working a 9 to 5 and you're a creator and you've worked with brands and you've grown immensely. You're on Instagram and TikTok. So how are you doing it? How are you balancing both?
I don't sleep. No, I'm just kidding. But I don't know. And I've said this before in different videos that I'm not a regimented person. There are some personalities that are I wake up every day 5 to 7. That's when I brainstorm and then I go to work. And they have a very regimented schedule. I'm not like that. I feel like there were waves for me where, okay, so I have a OneNote app on my phone. Anytime I have an idea, a topic or a script, I immediately write it down and I capture everything there. And then when I have a chunk of time, a Saturday or a Sunday, that's when I'll just batch a ton of my content. I'll go through all my scripts and contents and I'll just record all of them. And then at night when I can't sleep, that's when I'll edit it and I'll have everything saved in my drafts on TikTok, ready to post when I'm ready to go through everything. And so I have waves. If you look at my TikTok, I'm actually wearing the same thing in 8 of my videos.
Me as well.
Yes,
me as well.
Because I recorded all of it that day and then I'm over time posting it. But I think that's what works for me is that when I feel inspired or itchy, I'll just make sure I'm capturing it in the moment. But that's probably why it works for me that it's not my full time, that I'm able to lean into it when I'm ready and then kind of pull out when I'm feeling burnt out.
Yeah. And batch creating is also something that a lot of content creators talk about. Some people love just creating intuitively. Some people love the schedule. Me, I have a schedule. Yes, sometimes I'll pop out the camera if I really have a thought and I'll do it. But because this is not, yes, content creation is a part of it. But even for me, yeah, I have a social media business, but content creation is not the only thing I'm doing. So having at least some sort of a structure is really helpful. So for you, your content creator on the weekends and then corporate girly weekdays. So Hannah Montana lifestyle.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, I loved Hannah Montana when I was younger.
Me too. Okay, so when you do that, I know you mentioned a few tips, but for anyone listening who is trying to balance out both, what advice do you have for people that are in corporate, working a 9 to 5, but also do want to take the content creation thing seriously?
Yeah. I think... Okay, so I remember there was this like triangle I saw one time where it was like sleep, exercise, social life. I'm missing something because there's fourth is like work and school. Anyways, between those four things, I think it's really hard to balance all four at once. And so I think for me, I recognize there would be some seasons where one would just be deprioritized.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's taken me 2.5 years to finally get to a good flow. So when I was really leaning into creator, my main focus was creator and work, which meant that I wasn't really working out a lot. I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't like having an active social life. And then there was another phase where I was like, when I moved to Orange County from LA, I was like, I really want to invest in building my community here, which means that like creating is going to have to take the back seat. And so for me, that's what I've had to do is like recognize which ones are a priority, because if I try to do all four at the capacity I had, like I'd be so stretched thin, or sleep would be the thing that I usually like gave up. Now that I'm in my 30s, I can't sacrifice sleep. So I'm just like finding a healthier balance. I think the other thing I would say is that good is better than perfect, or done is better than perfect. I think when you're first starting out, there's such this vision of like what excellence looks like. And when you're first starting out, whatever you make is not going to be excellent. Like it's not going to be good, but you just have to like get over that hump of what good looks like and just start creating. Cause that's what I did. Like I had to get used to building my voice, building my like confidence and my comfort level. Cause I don't think I was confident when I posted. I just posted and then became more confident doing it.
Right.
And so that's what I would encourage people to do, is that even if the work you're creating is like garbage, just get in the practice of doing it.
Yeah, exactly. And that confidence will build over time. And I love your point to, you have this expectancy of what good looks like, but you will get to good and great and amazing as you create. You're not going to get to good, amazing, excellent, slay. You're not going to get to that, just sitting there and watching somebody else do it. You're just going to be sitting there watching somebody else do it. So I love that point. And I also love how honest you were about how so many people do want to do it all, but not every season is going to be like that. And thank you so much for like bringing that, because me too, I'm like, oh yeah, how do I do this? 12-hour work days. Sleep, we don't know. Like my social life,
don't know her.
My social life is my siblings. Like what are you talking about?
You
like
such a good sister, by the way.
Yeah, those are my besties. Not sometimes they irritate me, but like a whole different story. But like I love that you mentioned like that you had to be honest with yourself to be like, I am not going to be able, like one of these has to go. And it's just going to be like that for now. One of these has to go, but eventually I will get there, or eventually it is going to balance out, over time.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm so much faster now when I create. Like when I would work on a script or deliver like a brand deal, it would take me so long. And now I just feel a lot more confident, or I'm quicker, or like I can memorize, I don't know. So I align on my script with the brand generally, and I feel like I can memorize it faster now and do it in less takes, which means I have a little bit more time if I do want to work out, or a little bit more time if I want to hang out with someone. I also felt like in the beginning I had to look, I don't know, I had phases where I thought I had to like wait till I had my makeup done, my hair done, whatever. And that meant like I was never going to create if I'm waiting till like I look cute or something.
Right.
So now I'm just like, no matter what I look like, I need to get used to seeing my face on the internet, and who cares what that looks like.
Totally. Yeah. So let's kind of talk about the building confidence, because I say all the time, because creators say this to me, I don't know what it is. I have the personality in real life, but as soon as they turn on the camera, the personality evaporates. Like they're like, I don't even know who, like, and then they watch it back and they're like, I don't even know who that is. Like, I don't even talk like that. So how did you go about, or what was like the switches that you made in your head so that you could, be more confident? Or when did that switch start to happen?
Interesting. That's a good question. I'm like, I want to give you a genuine answer, and I'm trying to think. It probably just got more comfortable over time. Like if I were to go back and watch my videos 2.5 years ago, I probably sound a little bit more robotic. But I do think, like, before I started TikTok, like I said, I had a lot of, like, I don't want to say failed things, but just like experiments where I did do YouTube, where I did do like other formats. And I think those years that were kind of like unseen also get me be more comfortable by the time I started doing TikTok.
Yeah.
And recognizing like, I remember distinctly, I started a YouTube series and it was in 2020/2021. And it was around the time of like the Stop Asian Hate stuff. And I really wanted to give voices to Asian people in the workplace. And I remember I thought like, what if my coworkers or bosses see this? I want them to think like I'm a professional. So I sound kind of like a corporate girl in it. And then I listen to it back and it's fine, but I'm like, that doesn't sound like me. And so I think now I feel more confident in like not having to impress or prove. Like this is just who I am, and it's gonna sound like me if a friend sees it or someone else.
Because now you know what your voice is.
Yeah.
And I think that is the thing that only comes with time and consistency, only comes with showing up, only comes when you make the bad videos, is that you get to go through all of that and then you get to find your voice. And again, it is done through the doing actions. Okay, so now working a new 9 to 5 content creator full time, you've worked with brands. So what does the balance look like for you now that you have been through all these like ebbs and flows, even throughout the short period of 2 years?
Yeah. Okay, so I got a new job a month ago, so it looks different now. But the 2 years that I started, I was working from home. And so I had a lot more time. Like I wasn't getting ready to go into an office. I didn't have a long commute. Now I go into the office Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I have like a 2.5 hour commute each day. And I'm also in the city a lot longer. So I don't even think about content those days. Like I'm not even thinking about scripts, TikTok. I'm barely even scrolling on social media. It's just like I'm kind of living 2 lives, but I kind of love it. And so right now I have on Saturdays, I try to like batch a bunch of content. Oh, one thing that's kind of tied to confidence and this is that I feel more confident in the car for some reason. I feel like cozier. And so I'll put my camera up and a lot of my videos are talking to the camera videos. So it's easier that way. I'm not doing vlog style editing. Something about being in a car, I feel cozier. Like
Perfect.
I just record like, I think like 6 to 8 videos.
In the car?
In the car. Either
so that's your
Saturdays
like
and
secret
Sundays.
to like batching it all out.
Yeah.
In the car.
Yeah. And then to avoid sounding like robotic, I will have in my notes, like I said, a general like theme and bullet points I want to like stick to. And then I'll just like talk about it on the video. And I think I've learned it doesn't have to have, okay, at least for my videos, I don't need a perfect beginning, middle, and end. Like I'm just like talking to someone and they're like, this is such an interesting topic, but it doesn't have to be like a full on complete thought. It's just like a nugget that hopefully inspires someone or like helps someone complete their thought. But so for me, Saturdays is when I record, and then throughout the week is when I'll like edit them and post them. I have a talent manager now, and so for brand deals, she's the best, Cassie, I love you. I'm signed with the digital department, and they've been so great. And so they do all the like administrative contracting, negotiating, all that for me, which I think has also helped in this transition take off a lot of my plate. And she makes sure that she tells brands, Jenny has a corporate job. She won't be able to deliver anything until Monday so that I can make sure I carve out time on the weekends. And I let my friends know, like, hey, Saturday during the day, I won't be able to hang out. I have to edit, but I'm free Saturday night or Sunday morning. And so I found a good rhythm.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about brand deals. Let's talk about monetization because you are on both sides of it. You have done it on your own. Now you have an agent. So let's talk about when you were doing it on your own, negotiating all the things, learning those things for the first time. Like, what are the things that you did and maybe the things that like you didn't do so well, like trying to work with brands as a new creator?
Yeah. Okay. So I feel super lucky. I started monetizing pretty quickly. I started in December. Within 3 months, I had 12,000 followers, and I started monetizing right then. Part of it, I think, because I was in the personal finance space, and I think that is just, that industry has a little bit more money when it comes to the brands. But I agonized a lot. Like, I would get an opportunity. I think my first deal was like $350 for a video. And I remember being like, remove $10, add $10, remove $10. Like, I was so nervous to press send. But I think my husband was very helpful in that time because he was like, listen, Jenny, we are in a fortunate position in the sense that like, you're not doing this for you're living. Like, you're not doing this to pay the bills. So don't put yourself in a situation where you're overcommitting and you're going to burn out and you're not going to like this anymore. Like, you are really enjoying this. So just like be okay saying no, even if that means you have to like walk away from something. So he was just giving me confidence that I don't have to lowball myself, because I think that's really hard to do, especially when you're early on.
Yeah.
And so one thing I did is that with every brand deal that came, I did increase my rates. Like, I increased my rates significantly. One, because I was growing a lot. So I was in this growth period. And second, as I was having brands come to me, like, I wanted to know what my threshold was and my like value. By the end, before I got a manager, my rate had increased significantly. I had a milestone by the end of the year that I wanted to hit, and I hit it. And with a talent manager, I think what I found has been so great is that there have been some brands that I work with and I have a relationship with, and I'll like give them discounts because I want to build the relationship. Like, whether it's paid usage rights, I'll be like, usually my paid usage right is this, but I'm happy to waive it for the first 60 days. And then I realized I got my talent manager, and I realized like it's just business. Like, she's like, this is her rate, period. Like, even if we want to build a long-term relationship, they're not like, oh, Jenny gave me a discount, and so I'm going to work with them again. So I've just been fascinated by that she's a lot more firm with the numbers, and there's it's none of it. We're not being rude by stating our numbers, even if they're higher. And so I think that's been really cool to see. But yeah, there's a lot of money in the creator economy, and I think I would just encourage people to like keep raising the rates. Keep raising the rates. Yeah.
No, seriously. Okay, so I want to backtrack a little bit, because you talked about your growth and that 12,000 followers you were already monetizing. What was your like growth journey on TikTok? Was it super fast? What was that like?
I feel like I had spurts. So I had that, oh my God, I had a 12,000 spurt from December through February, because there was this one video about the 4 bank accounts everyone should have that popped off. The one thing I learned, I've said this in another video too, is that usually in your TikTok analytics, you can see how many followers each video gained. And it's usually a select view for me that attracted 20,000 followers.
Yes.
Like, a few videos that have helped me pop off. And usually those videos all have like a little bit of controversy in them.
Yes.
So in my 4 types of bank accounts, it's helpful, but also like I think I had a typo or I said something wrong, and everyone got so mad in the comments. But I felt so anxious about it, being like, I don't want to lead anyone astray. Like, I don't want to provide conflicting information, especially when it comes to money and people are not like, whatever. It could like affect their livelihood. But then I was like, oh, this like really helped me. So anyways, to your question, I had 12,000 followers in that spurt. And then I was probably like steadily growing. And then I had one video where I shared how much I made as a creator. And that like, I think increased me to 60,000. I had that loud budgeting video that helped me grow to 100K. So there were like, I would steadily grow probably like a few thousand every month. And then I would have one video that would pop off and would help me gain like 30,000 followers in a few days.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And that's usually how it goes, honestly. Like, not every single video, obviously there's going to be, the outliers, but not every single video is going to pop off and get, a ton of people to follow you. But it doesn't really need to be like that. You only really need like a few of those and once you really get into the strategy, you can kind of like rinse and repeat those. You get new people in your audience, and then you can nurture them with, your other content. But to your point about these videos specifically that pop off, that get you that reach, that get you those followers, the controversy, the little mistakes, there are so many times where some of my clients will be like, oh, but there's a typo. And I'm like, oh, trust me, there's people leaving typos in there on purpose.
Yes, I learned that later. That's wild.
Yes, it is like anything that you can get people's opinions on, it's going to be in there. Of course, like, we need to stay ethical. Of course, we don't want to, like what you said, lead people astray. But small typos like this, or just something where it like gets people's, light bulbs on. Like, what? Like, what did she say? That's what it is. And it really does work. And obviously it worked really well for you. But again, to one of those videos that really popped off, your budgeting, monetizing video, which we will definitely get into. But now that you have done brand deals on your own and now with an agency, is there something that you would do differently as a creator that is just doing it, by yourself, trying to monetize and trying to work with brands?
I think with monetizing, it's making sure that you are feeling confident about the rates you provide and just leaving it at that. Like, I feel like sometimes people will say, this is my rate, but I'm happy to be flexible, or I'm happy to give you a discount, again, because they want to be nice and build that relationship, which I think is like a good intent. Like, we should want to build relationships with brands, and there are some brands I worked with for years, and I'm so grateful for them. But there is an element of like, no, you know your rate, and just end it there and see how they respond. They'll let you know, like, no, this is above our budget, or can we do this? But you let them tell you that, and you can kind of go from there. I think that would be one thing I would go back and change. I think secondly is that I had the years where I did YouTube and other things and different side hustles, and I just always burnt out because I went so hard. And with TikTok, I really did not want to burn out, and I wanted to have longevity and have a long game. And so I knew that if I were to agree to multiple brand deals that were a little bit lower than I was comfortable with, or that would get me excited, or brand I wasn't excited about, like, I didn't want to grow resentful or annoyed or feel like this is suddenly like a chore. And so I try to keep longevity in the back of my head too, of I know this rate, I don't know if I'm worth this rate. Like, you know, like there's that some of that fear that you have, but I know if this brand says yes, I will feel very happy and proud, and I will do my best work. And so that's something I would keep in mind.
I love that because it is so easy to get lost in chasing the numbers. Like this person's moving so fast, I'm moving a little bit slow. But and I always talk about this on my page. Like, this is a long game. You will burn out like that in 2 seconds if you get lost in that trap. And the fact that you caught that pretty quickly is actually super, super cool, because like, if this becomes like, yes, this is work. Yes, you know, even though content creation's fun, like we're doing our silly videos, all the vibes, like, if we really want to monetize, you do have to treat this like a brand. You do have to treat this like a business. But just like any other business, entrepreneurship, you want to enjoy it and you want it to be fun. And the moment that it gets really resentful and like a chore is when you're just like, well, why did you choose this in the first place? You could have done that 9 to 5 if this is what you wanted. So I love that you had the long game in mind. And to you listening, write that down because that's really good.
Okay, one of the things can I add is that I feel like when a video pops off, make another one quick. And I feel like when a video pops off, people feel afraid because they're like, they get a little paralyzed. And I did too, where I'm like, my next video has to be amazing now because 1.5 million people saw the last one. And then you start getting paralyzed that your next video will never like deliver or ladder up. So now when I have a video that pops off, I immediately post another video, and I don't care if it's bad, because I just need to mentally get over that roadblock. And the longer you wait to create like a great video, that level of excellence is going to continue to increase in your brain. It's going to be so hard for you to do it. So just like keep posting. Have you ever had that? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, 110%. It's like, okay, what's the next one going to be? Is the next one going to be as good? If it's not, like, it was all for nothing.
I think that's one thing I quote unquote regret the most, is that when I had those growth spurts, I would disappear. After I had like a huge hit, I would disappear for a month because I felt so, whoa, I'm getting so many comments, so many followers. I don't know if I'm going to be able to like deliver what they're looking for, or I don't know if I want to niche into that one video. And I regret kind of hiding. I should have just rode the momentum, but now I know better. But
but this is so valid, because even working with some of my clients, they will go viral, and sometimes they will want to hide away. But because they, hired someone, they hired me, they hired my team, I'm like, well, we can't do that. Also, you're paying us, so we know we need to keep that accountability. But they will feel like it's so interesting, because you chase it, you want it, and then when it finally comes, people are very surprised that the mental toll that it takes. Especially like one of my videos is going viral right now. It hit 1 million views. It's a review of at Be Better Company. So it's kind of interesting because I'm actually just talking about someone else. So it's going super viral because most people are actually just making more commentary on him. And
is
then
that the guy who got sued?
Like
allegedly.
Like they sent him like a cease and desist.
Yes.
Like, like a little like, not really like, right. Like, you're just scaring him or whatever. But now all these comments are coming in, not even on me, really. It's really mostly on him, but it hit 1 million views and then 2 million. And it's mostly comments on him, but I'll get comments like, I was actually reading some of the comments to my podcast editor, and someone's like, you're so annoying. Or they'll be like, professional yapper. And I'm like, honestly, my merch. Like, I need to make merch out of professional yapper. Like, I love that. Thank you so much.
That. Wait, do you not feel even like a little bit upset about it, or no, are you so thank you so much?
No, it's so funny. I think it's different because this video in particular, it's all of that, all the negativity that other people for some reason just want to project onto this other creator. It's really more towards him. Okay. So I'm honestly not taking like a lot of the brunt of it, but like there are comments of like, you're annoying, or like, I never want to see you again. Someone said, I was wearing a Tiffany's necklace. Someone's like, oh girl, Tiffany's does not look good on you. And I said, you don't look good in my comment section.
Ooh, I'm gonna steal that line.
I was like, okay, but there's like a lot of them are just funny. Like, okay. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love to fight back with them. Now, I have had situations before where other people have said other things that I was like, like you get a little bit bothered, but then you also realize at the end of the day, it's engagement. At the end of the day, as long as I know, like I haven't done anything wrong, like I am, staying true to my values and who I am. And if someone's just going to call me ugly, first of all, objectively untrue. Second of all, thank you for the engagement.
Wait,
and this is something that I have to help my clients through, because to your point, when you don't have a support system, nobody is meant to be reading thousands of negative comments about every little thing about them.
Yeah.
So when you have a support system behind you, you can say like, I'm like, I know this person's saying this, but look at all the people that are now like defending you. Yeah. Look at your community, they're fighting for you in the comments.
Your videos are so good.
We're gonna stop.
I love them.
But like you cannot prepare yourself for that. And it's just one of those things, like once it happens, now you know what to do. But really the most important thing, to your point, is like, keep going.
Yeah.
Keep it going. Keep the momentum going, especially when those things happen. Or if it's a video that popped off and you're just like, okay, cool, not really too much I want to do here, or I'm just going to continue doing whatever you want to do. Be mentally okay with that. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like you're in that space now?
I think so. I've had, there's been a couple comments like that where
you're ugly.
Yeah. Or if they're like, oh, this girl doesn't know what she's talking about. I don't really care about, to your point, I'm like, this is dumb. But then there was one time I got a few comments that did sting for a little bit. And it just made me realize, oh, I never want to be so big. Like it made me grateful for, I don't know, just recognizing like the importance of keeping some things in your life private.
Yeah.
And so I made a video about me eating a certain Korean dish. It was like marinated crab.
Oh, I love
it's so
H-Mart.
Good. Yeah. Oh. Podcast editor is like,
no, it's
that did it for him.
It is so good.
But it reached a lot of Korean people. Oh. And so my audience was really Korean. And Koreans, we can be very critical of one another. Okay. And they were all like, oh my God, this girl got double eyelids surgery and she looks botched.
Ooh,
and they're like,
no.
Whoever did her double. And it was honestly only like 4 comments out of like 150.
But your brain is just going to only focus on those 4 comments.
And I got this double eyelid surgery like maybe decades ago. And so I kind of like forget about it. Like this is just my face. But that was one where it like was in the back of my brain. And I noticed myself one night being like, oh, do other people think I have botched double eyelid surgery? Like, and I Googled what does botched double eyelid surgery look like? And then over time, I like learned to be comfortable with it and get over it. But it was, to be honest, I'm a little bit grateful for that because I think it just gave me good reflection of like how comments can impact me. And I love reading the positive comments when they're like, this is life-changing, this is great. But I want to make sure that, okay, so there's this quote, Nick Viall's podcast, Say What You Will. Yeah, he is kind of controversial, which whatever. But he said this one line years ago that I really appreciate, which is that like, if you value the positive comments too much, you will also value the negative comments.
Yes.
And so it just taught me to just be a little bit careful. Like, that's not my real life. And the people's opinions in my real life carry the most weight. And so I don't want to ever like, I think it could be really addictive to just like teeter your whole life into everything being to get more comments.
You become a people pleaser to your community. And as much as you can love on your community, being a people pleaser, just period, is toxic. And you don't want to have a toxic relationship with your community as well.
Totally.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. You should write that one down. Okay, write that. That was a really good one. Okay, so I know we went off into like a little bit of a tangent. No. But I think all of that was really, really good stuff. And to you listening, you will go viral one day. It's inevitable. And yeah, if you are getting comments like that, listen, even like the hate comments that I get, I think the number one, I don't get a ton really. And I'm grateful for that because I'm actually considered really small in my space. So I don't get a ton. Usually it's like something about my voice or something like that I talk too much. I think one person maybe called me ugly, but then again, it's like objectively, you're so false. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So it will happen. Have a good group of people, even just one person that you can just rant about this to, but just know, like, it's engagement. If the roaches are going to come for you, they're going to come for you. It's inevitable. And you're just going to keep being, that it girl that you are. So little tangent there, but let's talk about budgeting and monetizing, because this is the space, the personal finance space is the space that you started off with, correct? Okay. And you were on the news, you went viral with like loud budgeting. So can we talk about loud budgeting, and can we talk about how are the girlies getting rich in 2024?
Yeah. Okay. I did not coin that term, loud budgeting. Someone else did on TikTok. So kudos to you. I just heard it and I was like, I'm obsessed with this idea. And so for me personally, loud budgeting meant that you don't have to go over your budget to live your life. And you should feel comfortable telling your friends like, hey, like I don't really want to spend that much money on a big dinner. Can we cook at home instead? And so just finding ways to be comfortable. And so I made this one video and it was like 4 ways to loud budget. And it was like very practical tips, like don't be delulu with your spending, like live within your means, like make sure you're budgeting. And I'm such a believer in it, especially as a woman. Like I feel so proud of myself for like being on top of my finances and like being like financially secure. And especially because I think people don't expect women to. And I think when you don't expect to, you're not going to learn it. But like the more you tell yourself, I'm bad with money or money's too hard, like that's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Just like you are capable of learning about money and you are capable of making a ton of money. And it's not boring stuff. Like we can make it sexy and easy to understand.
Oh my gosh.
I just hate when people like try to gatekeep it. But in 2024, I feel like it's such a weird year in the economy. Like some people are doing really well. Some people are really struggling. People are trying to buy like houses, rent is going up, all the things. I think one, like it could be really easy to be so stressed out about money. So you go the other way and you just say, F it. Like, I'm just going to YOLO, spend all my money, do whatever I want. Just like be careful of that, because in a few years from now, like you might put yourself in a situation that you really regret. So I would just recommend like, think of like a healthy perspective, like do the things that you love. But if there are things that you actually don't really value, like try not to spend the money for it. Like if you don't really care about food, maybe don't DoorDash all the time. But if you really value traveling, like save your money to travel, like make sure you're just like prioritizing the things that you love.
Yeah, yes. So I want to talk about making money fun, sexy, because you're right. I actually have a few friends coming into mind. I love my friends dearly, but I will say, like, hey, did you search up what a retirement account is? And they're like, no, ha ha ha. And then they're going out to the bar. And I'm like, wait a minute. What are we doing? So do you have any advice or practices on how to make budgeting, saving money, hot, sexy fun?
Yeah. Number one for me, gamifying it is like so important to me. And so I think people hate saving because they see saving as like boring and you don't get to see it. Like you don't get the instant gratification when you save versus when you buy something. And so I would just think of saving as like you're paying your future self. You're not like losing the money. And so look at your savings account. Like think about like milestones, whether it's 1,000, 5,000, 7,000. Every time you hit that milestone, like treat yourself to a coffee, take a screenshot of that, like your bank account. Like I would just find ways to give yourself that dopamine hit with saving or investing. And I feel like that is so fun for me.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Wait, you're speaking my language, because that is what I do all the time. I actually just made a video on this because you're so right. Because saving just feels like, oh, I did all this work and like I didn't get anything of it. So not true at all. And I feel like maybe you're less toxic than me, but the way that I figured this out for myself, because this idea of like pay yourself first has been around for a really long time. And when I was like first starting to get into finance, I was like, pay yourself first. But I started to realize like, okay, well, why do I want to spend money that I just made? And it comes from a lot of, let's say you grew up in, a low income household and you grew up, living paycheck to paycheck. Of course, you're going to grow up and seeing your parents spend that money because you don't know when the next thing is coming. So that can also bleed into adulthood. But on the more like fun side of it, because that one went a little deep, but on the more fun side of it, your ego will literally tell you like, oh, you start making big girl money, like why don't you spend it? So what I did, knowing that I have a gargantuan ego, is I'm like, wait a minute, if I just made this money, why would I give it to someone else before I give it to myself? And that's kind of the thing that I would tell myself that made it fun. I'm like, oh, no, you are not getting my money. I don't care if it's the cutest, pair of shoes ever. And I started putting money away, doing it like that. Another little tip that I really like to do. So not sponsored, maybe should be. I love SoFi.
I love SoFi.
I know you do too. So they have your high yield savings account, right? But then you can label your vaults. And so I have a label right now that says hot girl trip. And I would just like pour into that vault and make it fun and like have cute little names and emojis. I actually have a CFP that I work with now, and he gets to see all my vaults. And he's like, hey, Alyssa, just doing our, quarterly meetup, like very, very professional finance guy. I see house, I see emergency fund, hot girl trip. And I'm like, oh, yes. No, that one's actually the most important. So we need to make sure that one's a priority. Thank you.
Thank you.
Doing stuff like that, putting labels on it, making it fun. And honestly, like if you have a really big ego like me, being like, wait a minute, where are you putting your money? You need to give that to yourself because you worked really hard for that. So again, off into a tangent, but that kind of like gamifying, making it fun and sexy, and like again getting that dopamine hit. Like I get a dopamine hit when I see hot girl trip, and 100%. It's another $1,000 in there.
100%.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Ooh, so cool. All right. So let's say someone, content creator, just booked their first brand deal. What is your advice on like what they should do with that money?
Oh, with that money.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one, I would make sure you save at least 30, maybe even 40% of it and put it away because you're going to get taxed on it.
I think a lot of people forget that part.
You're going to get taxed on it. So just make sure you're not spending money before you lose it. I don't know. Like I'm such a believer in like treating yourself and like celebrating your wins so that you enjoy the experience. But if you're using this money to like pay your bills I actually think that you should treat it as like a plus and like put it all in your savings account. Like put it all in your high yield savings account, to your point. And then like once you figure out what 3-month income flow looks like, or 6-month income flow, you can kind of adjust it, but put it all in savings. It might go away. Like it's so inconsistent.
Right. Brand deals are pretty inconsistent, especially if you are doing it on your own. My other question to you was, to the young people of the world today, are there any like money mistakes that or like myths or advice on socials that like you just don't like, that you feel like especially younger people just need to not pay attention to?
The thing that makes me nervous is when people are buying things through installment plans that are like
Afterpay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
One of those things. Like I love that it's making higher ticket items more accessible. But it does make me nervous when people are buying like a Dyson through Afterpay or monthly installments. Like they're buying a lot of things that it means they can't really afford right now. And there's no judgment with that statement. If you can't afford it, like you could afford it one day,
Yeah.
But you're choosing to do it now, and you're going to accrue so much monthly debt.
Yeah.
And I feel like that number looks so small, like, oh, only $25 a month I could have it for. But like, that's $25 a month, like you could put towards your paying off debt or saving or something. So I would just be careful of that. And then second, like, just be mindful of like how much you're getting influenced. Like, I think it's so easy to get influenced by TikTok, Instagram, by your friends. Like, everyone around us just has like so much nice stuff. Like it's just like, be careful.
Me with the makeup bag of stuff I was
like, show me all the goods. Yeah.
But there's a balance. There's always a balance.
Yeah.
And I of course I'll treat myself to, like, I just bought the new Hourglass, powder.
Are you wearing it right now, by the way?
I am.
It looks really good.
Oh, it's also the lights in here. Our podcast editor really ate with that one, with the lights. Thank you so much. Don't now I take the compliment back because you made an obnoxious sound.
I know I said
movement.
don't get influenced, but now I'm like, I'm going to buy that hourglass.
To
powder.
me, it's worth it. But okay. Sorry. To our point about balance, I will buy that thing because I saw someone use it and I saw multiple influencers use it, and I'm like, I really want a really good powder, whatever. One embarrassing thing about me, and this is like the balancing of it, I will buy something like that. I do not pay for Spotify Premium. I can't.
You listen to the ads?
I do. I can't do
Podcast editor, get her on your family account at least.
I can't do it. Like, okay, balance, also just maybe a mental block for me of like, I can't do it. I'm like, how much is it? Like $20 a month or something?
I don't even know, but I'm so shocked.
No,
right now.
I can't do it. To me, it's like that's the balance. I'm not saying that this is the healthiest thing ever, but like that is what I do. I'm like, okay, I'll buy this thing, but little things like that, it's the little stuff that I'm like, no.
Yeah. But there
I
you go,
can't.
balance. You're picking
Balance.
the things that you want to spend money on.
Exactly. And we will like, oh, I just called myself out a little bit there. Like when me and podcast editor, when we get lunch after doing these podcasts.
Like a business meeting?
Yeah,
lunch?
like a business meeting. You're right. Yes. We'll be like, okay, maybe we won't go to like the craziest place anymore. Like maybe this is not it. And I even have those open conversations with my friends as well. So again, it's always about, finding that balance. Last thing when it comes to budgeting and monetizing for creators, let's say there's a creator out here that hasn't monetized and they are struggling. They're either getting ghosted, only doing gifted. Do you have any advice for creators to like get past the just gifted stage?
Yeah, that's tough. I do feel like the 3 immediate things I think about. Oh, that was very loud. The 3 immediate things I think about are like, 1, making sure your page is brand safe. Making sure that like you're just being, if there's certain brands you're trying to attract, like you probably want to be careful about like mature content, language, that kind of stuff. Like brands will care about.
So they really do care about that.
Yeah, if you want a brand that cares about that, like if you are wanting a brand in like the alcohol, in like whatever, then it doesn't matter.
Sure.
But a lot of CPG brands, a lot of beauty brands, a lot of like finance brands will care about that. Like they will want your profile will get rated in terms of brand safety, and so I would just be careful of that. I also think brands do like talking to camera.
Okay.
And whether it is like even voiceover through like B-roll footage, like I do think if all you do is trending sounds or text over sounds, it is harder for a brand to see themselves fit in the story,
right?
Or to see you as an ambassador for the brand. So make sure you're like shifting into that content.
Yeah.
And then start organically talking about the brands. Like figure out how you can provide value so your brands want to insert themselves into that
Yeah.
story.
Oh, I love all these tips because I get this question all the time, or I hear stories of creators. I'm like, I'm only getting gifted, or like I'm getting ghosted. And you would be surprised, even large creators go through this of like, my inbox is empty. I feel like I'm doing all the right things. But at the end of the day, this is a business. And that's why I always say like, you are not your brand. Your vibe is your brand. This is a business. So treating it like that. I love what you said about like really thinking about how this brand can fit organically into your content, not just talking about the brand, but doing something like a signature style series where a brand can like very easily insert themselves. I've done this with clients of mine, and we'll create like more like lifestyle series. And because it's lifestyle, or because it's just like their day to day, it's so easy to just like boop, inject,
just a little boop.
Yeah, inject a brand in there. Like, ooh, yes. So I love that. Again, you listening, I hope that you write all of that stuff down, because I think that's so actionable. Like you could literally after the podcast do this, straight away. Okay, so talked about.
Wait, can I give you an example?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
so for example, I'm not a beauty influencer, but I have worked with some beauty brands. But
cool.
It's the reason why they brought me in is because they were doing a campaign, either usually around like woman empowerment, woman and money, or life tips, because that's usually my like those are my pillars, or that's like kind of my niche. And so like I think they were able to see like, oh, you talk about this thing that we want to start standing for, and we can insert our product into the conversation. So for example, I worked with like Secret deodorant once, and I like mentioned the deodorant in it or the product in it, but it was mostly giving like life tips. So I would think about that. Like there might be ways for brands to like kind of put you in.
Yeah. Okay, wait. This is a really good point to start wrapping this up with. Why niching down within yourself is something I always say. And it works with brands too, because yes, you can get a lot of brand deals through just being in one niche, but that's not the only way to do it. And you are literally living proof of that. I mean, maybe yes, most people know you for your finance tips, but to have different content pillars, different topics actually can open you up to working, with other brands, especially if they're super tied to, your values, if they're super tied to something that you're really passionate about. Like literally the possibilities are so endless. Like you said, the creator economy, there's money to be made.
Monies.
Yes. And if you have a strategy that allows you to do that, and if you have goals outside of just the numbers, like all this stuff can happen. And I love that because no one would think of that. No one think like, oh, working with Secret deodorant, if you talk about like money tips. But if you have other pillars that brands can insert themselves into, and that's a part of your strategy, like you are now thinking outside of just the social world and into like, this is my brand, this is my business.
Yeah.
So slay on you. Love that for you. Thank you so much. Okay, so to wrap all of this up, I'm just going to do some like rapid fire questions.
Okay, fun.
And then you are just going to answer. So do you think the TikTok ban is going to happen?
Okay. I need to talk about this TikTok ban.
Okay, perfect.
Number one, the naming of the TikTok ban it's just like the worst personal branding. Anyone listening, the TikTok ban does not mean they are banning TikTok. That's not the legislation. That's not that's not the thing that was passing. It was about whether ByteDance should be owned by in China. And so I think there's so much money in TikTok. And at the end of the day, America cares about money. Mm-hmm. And so there's no way TikTok's going to disappear. It's either they're going to sell it to a US company, which there's still issues with that, because if it goes to a US company, they're not going to give away the algorithm, which is what makes TikTok so good. So Who knows what will happen to that? Or they're going to, I don't know. I just can't imagine them not selling it, because that's so much money for them, or like finding a new way in.
And
that's my personal belief.
It's going to take a long time.
It's going to take a long time. It's going to take a long time. I feel like people who are saying you should diversify is so smart. Mm-hmm. What I don't love is when people are fear mongering, like using this fear and then selling a course. That makes me so upset, because it's like predatory behavior. And so there's nothing we can do about it right now. Well, I guess the one thing we can do is like make sure we're diversifying our content, continuing to build our brand, because like you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. But like, I think it's going to be fine. I think it's all going to be fine.
We're going to be fine.
It's gonna be fine.
We're still going to be making our TikTok dance videos. Yeah. Okay, great. Now, in the event that something really spooky happens with TikTok, what is the platform that you're going to go to?
I think Instagram, to be honest.
Instagram? Yeah. Okay. Dumbest thing young people do with their money?
Open up too many credit cards that they can't afford.
Yikes. That one's scary. Money advice that just needs to go?
If you stop buying lattes, you could buy a house by now.
Hey, those lattes are getting expensive, but I'm still going to be buying them. I actually just had a pandan matcha latte. So
from where?
Good. Aroma in Westminster.
It's good?
So good.
Okay,
it's like my new favorite now. $7, but like it brought me so much joy and happiness.
I'll spend all the money on my drinks.
Really? Yeah. I need like 3 drinks a day. Perfect. Okay, amazing. Actually, what is your coffee order?
Okay.
This is very serious.
So I have my phases. Right now, I'm on an iced mocha kick.
Oh, okay.
It's a homemade iced mocha.
That's podcast editor's favorite
Really?
drink. Yes.
Iced mocha with oat milk, except for I'm trying to be a little bit healthy. And so I'm doing half Fairlife, which is protein.
Okay. Oh,
and
yes.
then half oat milk. When I'm not drinking a mocha, I love iced matcha latte.
I mean, you can never go wrong with matcha. Okay.
Have you been to Lion and Lamb?
No,
They make a really good chai latte.
Where's that?
It's part of Watermark Church, I think, in Irvine, but they make a really good iced chai.
I think I've seen it on Yelp.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go after. Amazing. Social media guilty pleasure. Like it's 2 a.m. and you're scrolling on socials.
Oh, I love celebrity video essays.
I love those too.
There's one woman, it's Teffy, I think. She has playlists of Jennifer Aniston, of Miley Cyrus, and I could spend like hours watching all of them.
Me too.
It's
Me as
so
well.
good.
Yes. Okay. Favorite beauty product right now?
Okay. The Maybelline like Stay Longer lip product is my favorite lip liner right now. Whenever I wear it, people ask me if I got lip injections, and I say thank you so much.
Period. I
Yeah.
love. Okay, so I will be purchasing that. Easily
It's
influenced.
drugstore too, yeah.
Yeah, and it's drugstore. Okay, amazing. One thing you love about being a creator.
If I say the money is okay, I'm just kidding. I mean, the money doesn't hurt. I don't know if I would keep doing it if I wasn't making money, to be honest. But I do think it is like being able to voice things I've learned and am learning, and people saying that it's helpful and it inspires them, because like I said, I'm not like a wake up 5 a.m. workout this. And I feel like there was this time when people thought you could only be successful if you were that kind of person. And so I kind of love being able to introduce a new category that like you could be successful, you could achieve your dreams, even if you're just like a regular person.
I love that. Yeah. So why not go into content creation full time then?
I think about it sometimes. I think I really love that it's something I look forward to on the side.
You can separate.
Yeah, separate. And I think there's so much like real life stuff. Ugh, is that discrediting if you're just like, you know what I mean? Like I love being I think I love being in corporate. Like I love being a corporate girl. I love the idea of being a corporate leader. I don't know, but maybe one day.
Okay.
Like Eva Chen is like my role model, where she is like a corporate girl, but like has a platform and is doing her own thing. Like that's my idol.
Okay, amazing. Okay, last question. What to you gives it girl energy?
When they just like have this like contentment, like confidence, like what you say, it doesn't matter if it's the trending thing. You don't need to take up all the space. I'm not that. I'm like, look at me. But like, you know, the people who are kind of just like, I'm here and I don't need to say much. I'm like, oh, you're so cool.
It's just period. It's
Yeah.
just, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, so to wrap this up, can you tell us what's going on with you? How can we hang out with you? All the things.
Yeah, so on TikTok, I'm Mohe with Jenny Park. Mohe means like, what's up? What's going on in Korean? And then on Instagram, I'm mohe.jennypark.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here. It was such a pleasure. I hope you listening. I hope you got some tips, not only with monetization, but confidence, content, all the things. Just know that balance is possible. I think that's the biggest takeaway that I'm even getting right now is like, you can do it your own way. You can have a balance. But I will see you in the next podcast. And as always, break a leg.
Break a leg.